Welcome back to I Bought Toys Today, the show. I forgot how this show starts. It's been so long. Welcome back to I Bought Toys Today, the show where two old friends indulge in the best part of the toy collecting hobby, telling each other what we bought. As usual, I'm John.
I'm Cohan.
And summer's almost over, Cohan.
It almost is. And not only that, we are filming this on August 15th. Our first video dropped August 15th. So this is literally our 1 year celebration. Thanks to all of those very few of you who've watched. Some episodes more than others, but it's just been fun for us to do this. We've never thought about doing this for hundreds of views or what have you, but there are some that have more than others, and we thank you all for your support. It's been great. We have a good time talking. We live 2.5 hours away from each other, so this is a great time seeing what each other got. Always remember to hit like, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. Starting that off earlier this year, or this time around. But it is our 1 year anniversary. John will add effects, popping noises. No, he won't. But with my Iron Fist glass, I toast to my good friend John, and I toast to our I Bought Toys community that supports us. Thank you so much. Appreciate y'all.
Happy birthday, I Bought Toys Today.
Happy birthday.
I hope you got us presents.
Well, I
hope they're toys.
We're gonna start it off with some stuff that I'm not gonna pull out of the cabinet because I've been waiting. I finally assembled the collection. I actually got to get one more who's not in that collection, but I got the entire Guardians of the Galaxy 3 collection, which John has shown before.
It's a good set.
So I ended up the last few I needed. I scored Nebula, Mantis, and I even bought a Groot. I should have pulled him out because he's not, but too late now. Anyway, but I found this new device to use on my figures after there's a YouTube show called Nerd Zoke, and the fellow's name is Matt. He goes by Big Nerdy. Great show. He does a really good job. And happened to a couple months ago catch him, and he talked about the best stands for your figures. And I've always used the plastic stands, and they don't. These universal stands are not always the best. I mean, with my G.I. Joe Classifieds or the Guardians or the Marvels or whatever, sometimes you got to really twist them in there. And he went through a whole list of things. I found these work really great, and he put these as his number one. And so far, I found very little issue with them. I've had some, but it's mainly because of the figure, not the element they use, but it's these little sticky dots. They work really great. They come in different sizes. There's your medium size. That like this could be for like your female characters, like I have some female wrestlers like in high heels, so their feet are much smaller. And then for your beefier figures, they come in these larger sizes. And I got a pack, multi-pack. These are only 3 sheets. I think they came 9 or 12 sheets. Really inexpensive, and they work great. Even if you have to move them and kind of these peel up relatively easy. You have to ball them up. They work better than sticky tack. These work really, really good. I've been really impressed. Like I said, I've had a couple, but that's more of a figure issue than the sticky tack issue. Like I can see one right now. Mantis is just leaning up against the door of the shelf, but it's because of her feet, and I think she probably needs a little readjustments. But other than that, they've worked really, really great. These are sticky dots. Really, really, really good stuff. I really support those. So anyway, yeah, my first.
Can I show you what I use?
Oh, what do you use?
Mostly because I think we just had it. I have a roll of this weirdly thick double-sided tape.
Okay.
And it's about as wide as an action figure's foot. So if there's somebody, for example, Cyclops, who likes to fall, cut off a piece, put it under their foot, hope for the best. Your system sounds much better.
They sound kind of like the same thing.
Well,
I mean, this is really, that's all it is. I mean, the dot on the back, obviously, to the paper is adhesive, and you peel off the little. That can be a pain. I have found that sometimes I get my fingernail to kind of get a little bit of it, and then I use a pair of tweezers to pull the rest of it. But they work really good, and then sometimes you can thinking like Yokozuna, who's a big beefy boy, and I'll put two on those, or those figures that have this lean to them, and no matter what position I get them in, I'll put a couple on, so no matter which way they lean, and sometimes they're in a leaning state, but they're still standing up. They haven't fallen. They're just a little akimbo, you know. So, um, wanted to start off, like I said, completed that Guardians 3 set with Nebula, Mantis, and Groot. And Groot's holding a little baby raccoon, which is just adorable. The only thing I really want else to complete that set is I want a Gamora. I know she wasn't in Guardians 3, but I think she deserves to be on that shelf.
I mean, she was.
Well, yeah, but I mean, not to.
They didn't make a figure.
They didn't make a figure. Also, recently discovered and recently rewatched, found out how I forgot how much I love this movie. I rewatched the Dungeons and Dragons movie, Honor Among Thieves, and I had Edgin, Forge, Holga, and Simon. And it took me a while. I didn't remember they made these two figures. I have the boxes; they are unboxed, but again, they're posed and stuck, so I did not pull them out. But I scored Doric. Great, she's really good looking figure with her tiefling tail and everything. And then I scored Zek, another good figure. They both look really good. I mean, the designs on these figures are really good. Their posability not so much, but I really like them. Scored them, and then I forgot. I happened to be in Ollie's, and I was like, "Oh, there it is!" And it was $10, and I scored an owl bear. But it's not the one from the movie. It's one from the D&D cartoons that they came out with. But still.
But yeah.
It's a good-looking figure. And you want to talk about
like
heft.
I was going to say, beef. He's a big boy. I like it.
Yeah, and he does have removable hands, so you can put a different set of hands so that he's down on all fours like a bear. But I also, the way I pose him, and he stands really well, his back feet are down, this one hand's down, and he's like reaching out, and I have him reaching out towards Forge, because who else should he reach out towards too? But yeah, this was a fun figure, and again, for the price, I mean, literally, he was $10, and I was like, that's a good find. So I really liked him, and I really liked what he looked like, and what have you, and the boxes even. It's just even a cool box with this little thing here, and just owl bear in front, and on the hand. But yeah. So finish off my D&D the movie collection almost, because I'm going to get that white owl bear that Dora turns into, and what a fun that would be to have the owl bears fighting behind the cast. I think that would be fun. Good. And depending on, I'm testing the waters on those D&D cartoon figures. I haven't bit the bullet yet because they are again at Ollie's for a much reduced price. I haven't heard good things about them. And I'm hesitant because I've seen the 3 that are out, and the other 3, I think it's the other 3. Yeah, the other 3 of the group I haven't seen out, and they're still like on eBay or Amazon for still like $20 to $30. While these other ones are already reduced to 10. So we'll see, and we'll see how I'm feeling.
Did you actually watch the cartoon, like in its day?
Yes. That was, yeah. I actually, a couple of my former students from the drama club gave me the entire series on DVD one year. So I have the entire series on DVD.
Because I remember, I didn't watch it. I remember seeing it. But I remember like seeing a couple episodes and not appreciating it at all. Because I was so unimpressed. I was like, none of these kids even have a sword. Like, what are they doing? Like, they're not going to be able to fight any monsters. I was like, because I think I was just so used to like watching He-Man-esque cartoons. I was like, these kids would get wasted by a dragon. What are they doing?
Yeah.
So it was like Flash Gordon wouldn't go in there like that. So it did not. It was it was very similar to like Hanna-Barbera cartoons, which I also did not appreciate when I was a little kid.
So there you go. I rounded off a bunch right there at the beginning. Quick and easy.
Oh, excellent. I'm gonna pick up where I left off last episode to start us off with, because I got a pair of figures last time we talked that came to me from the other side of the planet,
Did you get baby?
where I got Captain Commando and Mac the Knife. Talked about that last episode.
Did you get baby? Please tell me you got baby.
This
I'm so
episode,
excited.
I have completed the set, and I'm proud to talk about having both the ninja and the baby driving a mech.
Yes. I can't wait to see this figure.
Well, you're gonna, because I'm gonna start with Ginzu the ninja, who is a very ninja-looking ninja.
Yeah,
And probably my second favorite character, just because I was nuts for ninjas as a little kid.
Who was it?
Could not get enough. Um, like a great color. He's got swords. Perfect. Cohan, this is a baby driving a mech.
Oh. Can you hold it up a little closer to the mirror? Or mirror.
What are cameras but mirrors of our soul? Yeah,
Oh,
as you can
that's
see,
so...
his name is Babyhead.
Oh.
And look at that art with him winking and pointing at the camera.
Oh, that's great.
And like it's just here's the thing. Like I think we decided I'm not going to open these, but I so wish I did because I got to know if he comes out. Like I got to know if you can pop the baby out of that. I'd be surprised either way, but
Phenomenal.
worth it. Like,
Totally.
and I figured out what I'm going to do with them, because they're just too cool and weird. As much as I'd love to like open these up, um, just the fact that I don't know if I'll ever see these anywhere in the wild makes me think like just keep them in here. So instead, they're gonna go right there
That's fantastic.
because there's now that there's all four of them, they'll fit really nicely, um, and they like. I don't know if I'm going to be able to hold them all up at the same time, but like they also just look great together. Like colors are great. They make no sense when you put them together. There is no like
Done
you
that.
put like you put the characters from like Final Fight together, like they kind of make sense at least. Like this is the most random assembly of nonsense, and it's great. So I've assembled Captain Commando. He doesn't have like a team name or anything. Like the game is just Captain Commando. It's not like Captain Commando and his Fantastic Commandos or something like that. But they're real good.
They're good.
Like if you would have told 10-year-old me that someday there would be a baby head uh, action figure, I would have looked at you weird because I wouldn't have known that was the character's name. But B, I would have been really surprised.
It's good stuff.
That's my first set. What do you got?
Well, I scored a G.I. Joe Classified. I wasn't originally intending going to buy, but then I found him at a good price. But then I was like, why didn't I want this guy? Because he is one of the original G.I. Joes that came out in 1982. So I scooped up Rock and Roll. Craig S. McConnell. The old Rock and Roll. I like that they added tattoos. They gave him this kind of, he's always had the big beard. They actually made him beefier, obviously than the original '82 figures. But he looks like a machine gunner now. He carries the big bad guy and can hang out with Roadblock and Gung Ho and the bigger dudes. kids. So, but yeah, and I like that hand. Yeah, I like
It's
that.
rock and roll.
Yeah, it's rock and roll. Also, I was in North Carolina over the summer, and we went to this random shop where my sister was, and there was really not a whole lot. If you were a Star Wars fan, they had a good selection. They didn't have a whole lot else, but I did find this gung ho that I didn't have. I still haven't taken the time to figure out what year he's from. He's a repaint of the version, I think version 3. He's a repaint. He didn't come with all his accessories. He was relatively inexpensive. As we've talked about, Gung Ho is one of my favorite shows. So I was like, for his price, I'll scoop him up. So I scooped him up for a pretty insignificant price. He came with a backpack. I don't even know if that's really his, but whatever. Scooped him up, and then let's just go deep. There's a YouTube show I watch. It's called Toy Federation, and the guy's name is Ryan, who owns the toy shop. He's based out of Greer, South Carolina, and it's a bit of it's a small little road trip away from where my sister lives in South Carolina. But I really wanted to go there, and I was really impressed when I went in. It's kind of weird because, like, again, I've watched the guy so many times. I had spoken with him on the phone, and I brought some stuff down there for trade, stuff that I no longer collected, no longer wanted, some odds and ends, and I was like, I'd be lucky if whatever he takes. I hope he takes it all, but we'll see. And he was previously told this to John, but so I turned it in. He gave me $220 for the whole lot. He took everything I had, and I was really really happy with that. Nice guy though. We had a really good conversation, and if you have watched his show, you've seen him grow his shop. I think he's very fair with prices. We had a really good conversation about that. I was like, look, I'm paraphrasing this conversation, but it's you're a mom and pop toy shop. You need to make money. And I was like, I know that maybe not everybody watches the show, but you have to know if you're going to walk in and you've looked it up on eBay or Amazon or whatever, you have to know that they have to make money. So let's say the figure you have is $100, he might offer you 50 because he needs to make money, right? And it amazes me when you go to trade stuff in. And again, sometimes you might have a set price, but to argue with the guy, and we had that conversation that there are some people who argue with him and call him a scammer or what have you. But anyway, that being said, so I spent some of that $220 he gave me on the GI Joe Conquest. Classic, came with slipstream, 100% complete. The wheels are down because guess where it sits when it's not on my bed. But it is the Conquest. The one thing I totally forgot about the Conquest, and it wasn't until I got it home and was setting it up. These two little flaps, these two black little wing flaps here. Oops, just hit the mic. And these, they go the tail fins, and they go here. And this was true with the old or the original. Well, when it first came out, these suck. They fall off all the time. And I was like, oh yeah. And like when I was moving it, it was like dink. I was like, oh, it's 40 years old. And I was like, no, wait, that's what happens. So when I had it off, when I first took it off the flag, there we go, lock that into place. I did have these on, but then I moved it, and of course they fell out like that one. But I'm not gonna fool with it now. But
when
anyway,
you pulled that out, I went, that looks so familiar. Like, I think we had that. The big yellow missiles, like, are really taking it. You pulled out those big rear fins, those big terrible fins. I went, yep, that's the one.
It's a great plane.
It's a great plane. Those stink.
Yeah. But so I used part of my training on this, and got it for.
Yeah, it's very cool.
It's complete. It's
forgotten
clean.
about that one.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I applaud Ryan for his shop, and I've seen it since I've been down there. I've seen his more recent shows, and wow, I wish I had waited a month because the way that's expanded, I'd love to go see it now. But I guess that'll be next summer. So that's my little G.I. Joe haul right there, John.
Did you see the new Ninja Turtles movie?
No.
The most recent Ninja Turtles movie. I think it came out like last summer. It was very good. It was very new. Like they weren't trying to reboot something. Like they were really going for like not me as an audience. But I still really enjoyed it. Um, and I also think they did a really good job of merchandising it because I think even before it came out, they'd put these Ninja Turtle figures everywhere. Like they got a whole chunk at Target, at Walmart, at Meijer, um, at the other Meijer near me. Like they're everywhere. And they were like $10 a figure, which is a really nice price point if you're like marketing that movie towards like actual kids.
Right.
And I thought that was great. Um, and it took forever, but um, they finally put those figures on sale, which is why I got a bunch of Ninja Turtles.
Oh, that's surprising.
Right? Because they were $10 figures that finally went on sale for $5. Um, and like, they're real cute. Like, they got a lot of personality. They've got really good accessories, um, like two nunchucks for Mikey. Then you can see it's got just the, if that can focus, like it's got the little thing of extra weapons that like you're never going to use because you just put the nunchucks in there. Got a little baby turtle form. So I picked up one of each.
Very good.
And they're very different from like any of the versions that like I would have grown up on as someone who was really into Ninja Turtle figures as a kid. Um, I picked these up thinking this might be a cool way, similar to when I got the Buzz Lightyear ships. Like, can bring these home, like play with them with the kids because they're like these are the perfect ones to crack open with them, like let them play with it, watch the movie. They just like I think last week there's a animated series like based on the movie now on Paramount Plus you can watch. Um, I do have a Leonardo. It's already been busted open, so he's doing great. And I was lucky at the time. They did have one rock steady, so I was like, I gotta get some sort of bad guy.
Yeah.
Um, and I was happy because Rocksteady was the one I had when I was a kid. Out of the like the big four of Shredder, Krang, Bebop, Rocksteady, I had Rocksteady. Did have a Krang, but it wasn't the good Krang.
Mm.
It was just the little Krang and his like little robot. So I thought that was a good find. And while I was there, I picked something up for myself because since the Ninja Turtles were on sale, um, I got myself a Michelangelo.
My favorite turtle.
He is the best turtle. He's a favorite turtle. As someone who was doomed to an existence of always playing as two-player growing up, um, I was never Leonardo. Playing with my brother, I was never Donatello. I was always Michelangelo. Sometimes Raph. But in the video games, Mike was just better. Um, Raph doesn't have enough reach. What do you want? So Mike is just the best. And this reissue of the like early 2000s series just has a really good look to it. It's similar to like the original series, but not as, I don't want to call the original action figures weird. Um, like they have a very specific look. They got
Mm-hmm.
weird sort of really unique dimensions to them. Um, so this one is similar to that, but sort of improved upon. And it was just a real nice solid Nike. And I love me some Michelangelo. So was happy to find these. I hope I can get the kids to give any interest whatsoever to the other ones, um, and maybe fight some rock steady. But love me some Ninja Turtles. I've
I
never
always thought Donatello was your favorite.
always Raph and Mike.
Really? Because I remember you making fun of me for liking Michelangelo.
No, not possible.
Maybe it was somebody else. Maybe it was one of our other friends.
No, Mike's the best. One of my favorite Ninja Turtle tropes is whenever they do an episode of like, oh, there's a tournament and like they all have to fight all these bad guys. Like, Mike is always the one that lasts the longest. In the storyline they did recently of Last Ronin, where there was one last surviving turtle after all the others, had been killed. Spoilers as to which one it is. Um, he's the heart and soul of the team, but he's also legitimately just the best turtle.
Yes, 100% agree.
So
Michelangelo.
Michelangelo, he's a party dude.
I was just going to say that. All right. So, adding to the WWE collection, even though they've recently parted ways, finally, shoosh, shoosh, please. This might be the third episode in a row an Otis figure has appeared.
I was gonna say I can't. You can't tell me you haven't had that figure on this show before, because I refuse to believe there are that many Otis figures.
I have
Nothing
three.
against him. I just don't know how there could be.
So I
He's
have
very
him and
good.
I have him and Shoosh Chad Gable, and they just came out with Maxine Dupree, who I need to get to pair with the other two. But there's my big boy Otis.
Otis is great. Like I can't hate on this. It's fantastic.
Yeah, soft good shirt he can rip off and do, the caterpillar. Then a couple weeks ago, my buddy and I were out toy hunting, and I really had no plans on getting anything. And then I found Raquel Rodriguez. At this point, she was still Raquel Gonzalez when she was the NXT Women's Champion before they changed her name to Rodriguez, and it said first in the line. And I love Raquel. I can't wait till she comes back and they do something with her. I know she's been injured, but so it's Raquel Gonzalez technically, and it says first time. On the box it says first time in the line, and but great soft good leather coat. Just this is great, and with NXT Women's Championship. And her ponytail. I love me some Raquel, so she's going to look good up there with those figures.
She's been gone a long time.
Yeah, she came back at the Rumble, but then disappeared again.
She was when I got back into watching wrestling fairly regularly. She was the one that I watched that was like, okay, like the women's division like is legit these days, because it had been a while, and I know that's not news if you've been around. But I was like she's good.
Yeah,
like push her to the moon. Like can be a superstar.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
And then he recently came out. He no longer holds the title he's wearing. He is Daring General Gunther. And now the new world champion, but he's got his IC belt, longest reigning Intercontinental champion in history. I really like Gunther. I really do. He's such a great throwback heel. And what he's doing now with Randy Orton for their setup for their match, I think was great. I really was hoping Damian Priest would have beaten him in Cleveland at SummerSlam and then lost at Bash at Berlin. But what they did with the Judgment Day, from the opening match, there was no way you could not have the whole faction turn. But a good figure. I mean, he's even got the hands where he's got other hands, but I just like the Der Ringenero Gunther. He's great. He's great. Good sculpt.
I
He came with two other heads, I think. Well, at least one of them was like But I just a good sculpt. The new IC title. I'm not a fan necessarily of the
yeah, it's
design
weird.
of it. Bring back that old one, that classic 1980s one. But yeah, so Gunter in his nice soft good coat, and so yeah, so Gunter, my
I held out on him as long as I can, but like his work speaks for itself. Like he's real good.
he is. He's really good. And my new setup. Oh, there are two. I don't know if I talked about it, but I bought a wrestling ring and put all my figures in the ring. Well, many of them, and then I was like, they're all too crowded. So actually, when I bought Gunter, uh, they were selling wrestling ring, so I bought a second one. So now one side has SmackDown, one side is Raw, and I put the main roster, the folks still wrestling on Raw in the Raw ring, the folks still wrestling on SmackDown in the SmackDown ring. They're side by side. Got the legends out and the legends and retirees out front. It's great. It's great. So it adds to my figure collection. And I'll tell you though, it's funny with the ring. Love that the ropes you have to like one turnbuckle comes with all three ropes already in it, and you kind of have to go and hook them across. Really nice and elastically. Like I mean, if I were a kid playing with this, I would love this. That ring also is pressurized. Like it bumps, for lack of a better word. And when you start putting guys on it, it sinks. And I will tell you what, there are I don't know, a dozen or so guys in the Raw ring, including Otis. And when I took Otis off, it literally went doink. And it's like, yeah, Otis is beefy. Who doesn't love Otis? He's so good.
It's really
If they
good.
come out with a Tozawa, I gotta get Tozawa. I love Alpha Academy. They're done, but I love Alpha Academy.
They were fun while it lasted.
They're still fun. They're still around. So yeah, 3 more wrestlers to add to the collection.
Excellent. I'll tell you a real quick story to lead into mine. Um, when I was collecting Toy Biz X-Men figures back in the day, um, I had a really good run. I had all three of the Wolverines that they'd put out. And if you remember Wolverine, the third version of Wolverine from the Toy Biz line, it was the version of him from like the Uncanny X-Men 275 cover. They just put out a retro card version of it like last year or so when they started doing that run. I mean, he doesn't have the mask on, and he's got like the generic X-Men blue and yellow uniform. Not his uniform, just the generic X-Men one that they're all wearing on that cover. Um, and my brother broke him. Just totally destroyed him. Um, I may or may not still have his head somewhere. I
Was
didn't
it
look.
was it out of malice that he destroyed them?
Um, I don't know. It was like 30 something years ago.
Right.
Probably more stupidity than anything else. So his punishment was he had to buy me a new one, which I was kind of impressed that like my mom actually did something about it and stood firm on that. So we were at KB. He had to buy me a new one. But then looking at the action figures there, I went, no, don't buy me a new one of those. Buy me this one. It's better. And that's how I got this little Deadpool.
Oh,
This is my original Deadpool from like 91 or whenever. Um, which you can tell it's very early from the Toy Biz line because of how little it is. Because they really beefed him up after this. Like he's up on my shelf and he honestly looks silly standing next to everyone else because he's like half as thick as everyone. But I bring him down off the shelf to talk about him um, because one of the things that I like to do in collecting nowadays is get sort of cooler versions of the stuff I had growing up, which is why I got a new Deadpool. And I haven't opened it yet. I cut the tape on it moments before we started recording so that it would be easier to pop open. Um, it's it's also fun because they've got him on the front there, and on the back of the box is the back of Deadpool.
Nice.
But it doesn't completely work because like that's his right arm on the back, but it's his left arm on the front.
Ah,
What can you do? Anyway, one moment.
nice.
Mm. Like it's really nice.
Yeah.
Like can't be mad at the retro card. Um, this is not a time where it is difficult to get a Deadpool action figure.
No.
Um, but I was weirdly more interested in getting sort of the comic book action figure version of it than I was one of the movie versions,
Mm-hmm.
which is weird because I'm honestly much more invested in the movies than like I ever have been as the comic book character. Um, but considering his connections to them, especially in their early days, I thought it was only appropriate that I pick up a Deadpool to go with the rest of my X Force team. Um, so I will be breaking him out of this card very soon, and adding him right up on the shelf there somewhere. There's no room on that shelf. I don't know what I'm saying. Um, but he's real good. Like he's kind of, I don't know if you can see his face very well. He still looks kind of villainous,
Mm-hmm.
almost like he's got an angry squint going on, um, which he really was early on.
Yeah.
So I think that works, and he's just going to look real good um, up there with the rest of the team. And I like having sort of that upgraded version of him from back in the day. Along with him, um, I finally got what I would consider um, Deadpool's greatest team up ever. The
I
the
can
the
only
best
imagine.
the best character he ever partnered with. Um, and this is legitimately one of my favorite figures of the year, which is why I was so upset that it took so long to get here. It's a Cable, and it's finally here, and it's finally this Cable, because this is the Cable Cohan. Make no mistake about it. Like the early Cables, where like Liefeld was drawing him and just packing him with 300 pounds of plasma rifles and 400 pounds of pockets and pouches and stuff. Like that's all well and good, but it's in sort of the early mid 90s, just a little bit before Age of Apocalypse, when he slipped into these duds, that I think he really solidified as a character, because this is what Cable looked like most of the time in sort of the era that I remember best. Like this is the outfit he was wearing in Cable issue 20. Watch it be 21. I'm just embarrassing myself. Um, but one of my favorite issues of any X-Men comic of all time, it's the issue before the world is ending, like the last issue before Age of Apocalypse starts, where all the X-Men, um, including Cable, Cyclops, Jean Grey, all of them, are kind of standing around waiting for the end of the world, and they don't have anything to do except talk to each other. Um, And so it was like the first time that I got to see Cable talk to Cyclops just as father and son. Um, and then he kept this outfit all through Onslaught, and so on. Um, like this is a good looking Cable. Like it's my favorite version of Cable, and it's a good figure. Um, like it is a good size and heft. His little glow and eyeball thing works really well, and he just has the right mix of old guy with white hair but still looks weirdly younger than he should. What is his actual age? No one knows. I do wish it came with like kind of a bigger gun.
Go on.
Because it comes with sort of one-handed shotgun and a little pistol. And even though at this point he'd moved past like giant shoulder cannon Cable, like you could still give him something. Like he's still, I mean, he still blasts somebody. But I think these accessories are more appropriate to his appearance in certain video games. So I think that's what they were going for. Because like this is what he looks like in the Marvel vs. Capcom games, which yes, I would pick him all the time. Um, who else is in those games? Captain Commando. Um, so he's just been honest. I swear he showed up like the day after we made the last episode,
Oh,
which was infuriating. Um, but at least I got to just have him on my shelf till we got to talk about him now. And he's beautiful. Like this is the best Cable.
yeah, he's a good looking figure. I've just never been a big fan of Cable, the character to begin with. I just
No,
it,
no one's perfect.
and maybe I was getting out of X Men at the time. Well, no, not even then. But I was just never a Cable fan.
I don't know. He was just so like so visually cool, glowing eye, metal arm, like. And I know he's often thought of as just the epitome of like '90s schlock, um, especially from the way he was presented in like 1990, 1991. Um, but he really grew, um, and just became real cool.
Sorry, I was
Big fan.
setting up my next lot. I was still
Well,
listening.
oh yeah, you're all set, and I'll pass it back to you.
Well, as we talked a couple of episodes ago, and how I have fallen madly in love with Critical Role, and went through and watched the entire Mighty Nine series, and went through and watched the. I'm caught up on Bell's Hells. Now, to be fair, I did fast forward through a lot more of Bell's Hells, particularly during the battles, because I was just so interested in getting caught up. And coincidentally, the newest episode is probably on right now as we're filming this. But no, I haven't watched. Not like I haven't watched them before on record. But I showed that Mighty Nine set I got the the 8 figures. Well, I went again. Just said, let's just complete that set.
Yeah.
So there's Veth. That's not the brave after being transformed into who she really is. So the goblin becomes the halfling she always was. So got me Veth. Again, they're still all unpunched on beautiful cards with the story on the back and great artwork. And then we got Esicthalis, who ends up helping them. And he's always hovering, and it's just another great character. There's a lot of glare on that. But again, just beautiful. I love this character. He's an NPC that becomes so important to their campaign. He's great. And the fact that he really almost has the same first name as one of the characters you played, I think, is also phenomenal. And then you pull up Dorian Storm. who actually is more of a character in in the Bell's House campaign, voiced by another, excuse me, friend of theirs, um, Robbie Damon. Had to think of his name there. Does a great job with him. Um, he does, I believe, show up during the Mighty Nine campaign. Um, but yeah, they're just again, they're reaction figures. There's not a lot of articulation. I don't care. They're not coming out of the boxes anyway because the cards are too beautiful.
Really
But
pretty.
they're great. And so I have the set of 11 from the Mighty Nine. And don't think that if they create Bell's Hell's reaction figures, I'm not gonna get those. I don't know. The Vox Machina figures are a little harder to come by, and they only made the four. But then they made statues of them, and they're just way too pricey. But yeah, so just I really like again. I like the fact they all come with something just a little special to the character with his loot, and like Dorian or Essett has his I think that's one of the shields, and just an umbrella. What a great random that is to have. And Veth comes with her ever drinking cup. Um, and the others with their stuff is just they're great.
This just showed up, like, got here yesterday. I took it out of the box before we started recording, but haven't pulled it like out of the plastic yet. Um, Speaking of things I loved in the 90s, I don't know how this is going to go audio wise, because all this plastic I'm sure is just poison. But one of my pre-orders came in the other week, which is why I now have Ghost Rider.
Nice.
the the Danny Ketch Ghost Rider with his bike, and a bunch of flames. And this, I've been waiting for them to make this version of Ghost Rider because they keep making Ghost Riders every so often, but it's always either like the most recent gimmick version, like, oh, it's Cosmic Ghost Rider, or it's, when they tried to do the Ghost Rider with the car, or it's just Johnny Blaze, Johnny Blaze, Johnny Blaze. But I read Danny Ketch Ghost Rider growing up, and it was great. He had a storyline where he found out that like he was adopted, um, which I identified with, and so it's really cool, to just finally have a character that had really been missing in the collection. But I have no idea what the heck I'm doing with this bicycle. Like the motorcycle's great. Like big flaming wheels. Look at this. Like the flaming stands
Nice.
that you can set it in. Um, this other one has a flaming stand. That's what's in, top middle there. Flaming stand you can set it on, so it's always sitting at an angle. Got two different sets of handlebars. Well, I think that's no the handlebars, and that's the foot pedal on the bottom there. So it's so cool because I mean, if I think Cable is a visually interesting character, like Ghost Rider, it's got a flaming skull for a head.
I didn't realize you were a Ghost Rider fan. I mean, I've known you all
I
these years, huh?
spent my childhood bedroom has a like giant poster of Ghost Rider on the inside of the door, which you'd never see unless you were in there and closed the door. Um, and I mean, I don't know if it's still there because I don't know if it was like ever possible to take it off without taking the entire door with it. Because I'm sure after like 20 years or whatever, like it had just melted into sort of the paneling. Um, I love Ghost Rider. It's not a huge, like it does not compare in any way to like the amount of time I spent reading X-Men comics. Um, but like even this most recent time when I've had to do some collection rebuilding, one of the first things I went out and found um, was in like 91 or 92 when the X-Men and Ghost Rider had a little crossover. I think it was like X-Men 8 or so. They went down to Louisiana, fought the Brood. Ghost Rider showed up. Love it. Um, and he just scratched that sort of supernatural itch um, that I'm looking for. And he's got a flaming skull for a head. Like I don't know what else you want in a character. Like that's you know, like take that Scareglow. Figured out how to do it a little bit better. He's just great, and he's another chunk of just cool um, '90s comics that I'm glad to have up there, and guys that make no darn sense, like your Night Thrashers and your Dark Hawks, and
Put
um,
it. Yep. Take him. Do it.
if I'll tell you if they ever make, and here's some obscure '90s schlocky nonsense. Boy, if they ever make a Vengeance figure, that's gonna make my day. Now you may be thinking, what the heck is that, John? Um, do you remember Vengeance from the Ghost Rider comics?
Mm-hmm. I never read the comics, but the name sounds familiar.
Because he was Ghost Rider if they like piled up a bunch of '90s fuel on top of him and lit him on fire.
Oh.
Because he was like bigger, more spiky. Like I think his skull was blue. The skull had like big spikes on it. So it was just like, how can we inject Ghost Rider with even more 1994 coolness? And they came up with Vengeance.
All right.
So I'm looking forward to breaking this out of its little plastic cage here. Um, I was going to do it while we were talking, but I figured that would be terrible. The one question I did want to answer: the wheels do turn.
That's not a question. That's a statement.
I'd been wondering if they did turn.
Ah, do they turn, John?
They do turn,
But they won't turn with the flames on.
we'll see what happens.
They might like a little bit.
Yeah. So I'm going to
Well,
be putting that together when we're done here.
That's a fun surprise.
Look at the flaming whip. Like, he's great. That's my haul.
Well, I haven't got much left myself. Scored this figure because I needed him to complete the collection, even though he's not from the same collection they are. But I've been dying to get this figure, and when I got him, I'm like, well, that's okay. I should have probably ordered the other one because the face sculpt is just a little bit better. But I'll probably order him anyway. But I finally scored Captain Malcolm Reynolds to complete my Firefly / Serenity collection. Again,
Wow.
not from the same toy lineup that the other four are from, but I just can't find that one. Saw him at a really, really good price and said, buy it now. So I scooped up Mal. He will be unboxed. I haven't done it yet. I've been toying with like, should I hold off and try to get the other one? But no, I think I need just to unbox him and get him in there with the rest of the group and set them up because now with these little sticky dots, I've found that posing and getting them to stand in different ways is easier. So I can do just have a little more fun with them rather than just kind of just standing there looking at you like this. So Malcolm Reynolds, Nathan Fillion. That was a fun little pickup for me. Go ahead.
Serenity is great. I can't believe you're telling me there's more than one line of Serenity action figures.
Well, and it's funny. This line, there's only 5 figures, and 2 of them are Mal, and 2 of them are Jane. and one is a Reaver, to my knowledge. Because
That's
when I was
weird.
looking these up, that's all I found.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
yeah,
Wild.
there's probably more than that. And boy, was I excited for this pre-order. This was not due till like September or something, and it showed up. And I thought it was something else I had ordered. When I opened it up, I went, oh, oh, oh. And they're gonna be unboxed, but they look so good. Look at Luke. Look at Luke Cage, and then Danny Rand and his Iron Fist. Oh, look at that green. He's got this. I mean, again, I don't need all those hands, but come on, man. And just they're not getting their screaming faces, but look at this box art. Look how pretty that is. Ah, and I like that. We got there it is. 85 years of Marvel and the boys, the boys. When you talk about top 10 figures of the year at the end of the year, it's pretty good. It's probably going to be in the running. I mean, he doesn't. His colors are more vibrant than the Marvel Legends one that I have. That is the same costume. These are much more vibrant colors, and I just talk about nostalgia as a kid. Why Iron Fist? No one ever liked him. I don't know, but man, I love the guy. He's my favorite character. Maybe it's something in his, well, I shouldn't say simplicity, but there is something about him. And then with Luke Cage as Power Man and Iron Fist, as Cage and Iron Fist, man, there's no better team. There's no better team up. You were talking about Cable and Deadpool. Sorry, sir. It's Luke and Danny. It's Power Man and Iron Fist. It's these two guys. And they're just. I was so like. Again, I rarely pre-order, rarely. And when these guys came out, I was like, had to. They're not gonna sell. Well, they may be sold out. I don't know, but I just love them, and I'm probably going to unbox them. I haven't gotten the strength to pull the trigger on this one yet. Like again, Mal's going to be unboxed. Even if you look at um, the card, the card's very yellow. The card up here is bent. I don't care. He's got to join the rest of the squad. But like I said, that head sculpt on that other Mal is better. I might be getting him. Who knows? We'll see. But no, these two right here. Love them. So sorry.
It's the best version of those figures I think they've made.
Yeah. Again, I'm looking at the several versions I own of them. Yeah, they're so good.
So I remember watching the live stream where they revealed that those were coming, and it was kind of, from my perspective, considering what I collect of Marvel Legends, it was a very boring live stream for me. And they're like, "Here's what's next," and they showed Iron Fist, and I went, "Oh, Cohan." I was like, "And it's a good Iron Fist," and they were like, "And he's not alone. Here's Power Man." I was like, "Oh no, Cohan. They're taking your money. They're coming
They
for
did.
it."
They
And
did.
it's a great. I vote you take them out because they're going to look great next to each other.
Oh yeah, and I really that pose they have them in on some of the shots where they're standing next to each other and they're bumping the back of fists like looking at each other. I'd love to set them up that way because that's a great. They're just buddies, man. They're just buddies.
Yep.
My final figure also scored at Toy Federation. Ryan, part of my trade-in, and I've seen this figure at many different toy shows at many different prices, really higher prices as well. But since I had trade-in cash, I didn't drop a dime. And this could be, spoiler alert, in the top 10 figures of the year. You want to take a wild stab at it? Don't think Marvel, G.I. Joe, or Star Wars, or wrestling.
There can't be that many more Knight Riders.
There's not, to my
Okay.
knowledge. But that's a good guess.
What other weird stuff are you into? Oh goodness. I wouldn't even know where to start.
That's okay. I don't blame you. Private Vasquez from Aliens.
Yeah.
Look how good this sculpt is. She's my favorite character from the movie. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. They even have her Jeanette. And what most people don't know, when you watch that movie and they all, except Hicks, they all have their own first initials. So she's J, like when you're looking through their cameras, like looking through their review, it says J Vasquez. And Drake says M Drake, and his first name is Mark, and so on and so forth down the line of Marines. They all have their own real first initials except Hicks, because he's the one given a fake name, a fake real name, even though we never learn their real names. But she's my all-time favorite character. The box art is great. They've got her posable. She's not coming out of the box, by the way. They've got her posed. They've got her little blurb on the back here. They've got her going here, and there's a whole lineup of these figures. I'm not looking to chase these figures. I think they made a Hicks, maybe a Hudson. I think I want those guys as well. But again, the price on these figures is ridiculous. I saw her last year or 2 years ago at Toy Hio, upwards of $230. That was not the price tag on her. It was much cheaper from Toy Federation. And again, I had money. I had house money. So you want to know? I'll tell you. I'm not embarrassed because again, I didn't pay for it. She was listed there was a price tag on here, somewhere on here, $120.
I was gonna guess about 100.
Yeah. So I was like, well, that will take 120 of the 220 you gave me away. But love her. Just love this figure. Love the character. What a great design. Yeah, it's NECA. Oh, she's great. Just that scowl. She's such a, you may have to bleep this, she's such a badass in that movie. And just my favorite character in that film. Spoiler alert, I hate when she dies. But, the movie came out in 86. If you haven't seen it by now, shame.
The characters die in the Aliens movies?
Shocking, right? Yeah.
I never expected.
Just a great figure. Vaz. Got me some Vaz. Yeah. And he had these set up, and I was flipping through because I wandered around his store, and he had so much stuff. He had the big stuff, but then he had random stuff, and saw the alien, saw Ripley. I was like, oh, flip, Vasquez, clink, and this is after he told me what he was going to give me, and I looked at that price tag and went, that's free. That's free in my eyes.
That's free Vasquez right there.
So yeah, so that's oh, she's great. She's so good. Just So yeah, I had again not quite as deep as we normally go with our hauls, but I had a really good haul.
You always stump me with alien stuff. I never expect aliens.
Yeah. I wouldn't expect a Ghost Rider. You could have said like pick 10 Marvel characters. I would have never picked Ghost Rider.
Well, you do know a couple things about me. I like a skeleton.
Yeah.
I enjoy like in sort of undead demonic character. Like we've had. I'll bring up Scareglow as another example. We've had too many conversations about Scareglow. And I like, specifically for Ghost Rider, like I like his mission as just a spirit of vengeance. The penance scare is legitimately a terrifying idea
Yeah.
that, you know, he just instills in you all of the pain that you have ever caused anyone else. Pass. No, thank you. Opt out. Um, so he checks a handful of boxes. Um,
Yeah.
Real neat. So yeah, and I like how you pick out Ghost Rider as the weird thing, as I'm someone who led off with a baby driving a mech.
I didn't say Ghost Rider was the weird thing. It would have been a thing I would not have expected. I knew
But I
that was
say
coming. I
Aliens, I'm gonna say is not as obscure as Captain Commando, just
Oh
in
no,
in the
no, no.
zeitgeist.
There's nothing on this show that will ever be more obscure than Captain Commando.
I don't know. I did have a Bionic Commando figure in one of these
But
episodes.
people know Bionic Commando from the video game. Come on, that was No, no.
Yeah.
By the way, I was at Applejack's a couple of weeks ago and saw the Wildcat figures. And every time I see him, I go, "Oh, he has them all,
Oh, yeah.
don't you?" Yeah.
I don't have I as far as I'm concerned, I have all the ones I really want. I think there's like which one is he? I think there's a version of Warblade where he's all chromed out.
Okay.
I'd pick up that one. Um, but they have like a couple of bad guys that like I don't give a crap about. Um, they might have like alternate versions.
Maybe. Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah.
Um,
Also, we
yeah, but
haven't.
again, nothing I need. There is, because you know how I have like the big X Men figures. They did a few of those with these, and there are a couple of those that might, for a right price, I wouldn't say no to. I know there's a Spartan, a Grifter, and especially a Maul, who's like his abilities. He gets real big, so it kind of works.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I'm sure that if those were cheap enough, you know,
Well,
I know, pretty good.
this is our 1 year anniversary. It may be our shortest show yet. Um, but we
That's
still
your
have to do.
present to me.
I got to do two random shout outs because we haven't done it this episode. But Joe Kiskis at Kid Force Collectibles, saw him earlier this week when I picked up my comics, and we had a little discussion about toys and things that are coming in. So I'm just waiting to scoop up some more of some classifieds that he's got coming in. But it's like when and where, and I'm really itching for a lot of these, like Jinx and Torch and Nagahide. I really want these characters, but I'm not giving my money to Hasbro. I'm giving my money to Joe, who's going to give it to Hasbro. But you know, also, I don't think we've shouted him out in a while. He's got a new video of Dan Larson. You know, we've been shouting out Dan Larson and Joe Kiskis from from video one, and I think we need to continue those shout outs because one I know personally, and Joe. The other one I've met once, but couldn't have been nicer and more polite and just friendlier to us when we first talked to him that very first time. And we're just going to keep shouting out these people. So we got Joe, we got Dan Larson, we got Ryan from Toy Federation. His employee Travis was there, who I've seen before. We're just going to shout out all these people because they give us toys and joy. What they
Yes,
don't give us, we buy toys from them.
Joe has genuinely contributed to this show on many occasions.
He has.
Yeah, his efforts have contributed, not necessarily consciously or intentionally, but
Yeah, there's a good chunk of toys in this room that have come from that tiny little shop, and it's great. I love it.
yeah, he should be sending you Christmas cards. Uh, it's a good store.
It is a great store.
Been there. Even I've talked about toys on this show that I've gotten from Kid Force.
Yeah, it's a great place.
Yeah, real nice.
Anyway,
Anyway, I think that's good for this week. I'm gonna put together this motorcycle and enact some vengeance upon, I don't know, whoever's handy. Um, so this was I Bought Toys today. Thanks for joining us. I've been John.
and I'm Cohan, and thank you for celebrating our 1 year anniversary with us.
Yep. We bought toys all year.
We did, and we're going to keep buying toys. And you know what? That being said, who knows what we'll do tomorrow?
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you.
Like and subscribe.